Stout, who's been following this live from Hong Kong. Kristie, there's been, a lot of curiosity, tension even as the clock ticked toward the deadline. Now we understand Chinese officials have actually entered the consulate premises. What's the latest?
Yeah, they have entered the premises according to video that we've seen from CCTV. And it was that dramatic moment earlier today, 6:18 a.m. in the morning, when the American flag was lowered at the U.S. consulate in Chengdu. Just a powerful symbol of this downward spiral in relations between the U.S. and China. The U.S. consulate in Chengdu was declared officially closed at 10 a.m. A CNN crew led by David Culver was there on the ground filming this scene. He wasn't able to get too close, but reported seeing a very heavy security presence around the compound. In the hours leading up to the closure, staff were seen leaving the building with plastic bags, with files, with boxes. Also, local residents were seen outside the U.S. consulate in Chengdu before the closure, waving Chinese flags and taking selfies. China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed the closure of the diplomatic mission, first on Weibo, then via Xinhua. Let's bring up the statement for you. And this is what Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs said. They said at 10 a.m. on Monday, as required by China, the U.S. Consulate General in Chengdu was closed. Relevant Chinese authorities then entered through the front entrance and took over the premises. And on Twitter, the U.S. mission in China posted a 39-second rather emotional video accompanied with a tweet that was written in Chinese, translated to English. The message was this: "Today we bid farewell to the U.S. Consulate in Chengdu. We will miss you forever." And if you watch this 39-second video, it features a photograph of then U.S. Vice President George H.W. Bush opening the U.S. consulate in Chengdu back in 1985. The video also lists the number of areas inside China that the consulate had served and covered, including Sichuan, Chongqing, Guizhou, Yunnan, as well as Tibet. Of course, it was on Friday when China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced the closure of the U.S. consulate in Chengdu in retaliation for U.S. actions, including the closure of the Chinese consulate in Houston. The U.S. State Department last Wednesday announced the closure of the consulate in Houston in order to, quote, protect American intellectual property rights. China called that, quote, talking nonsense. And at this moment, as the officials in China have confirmed the closure of the Chengdu consulate, we are awaiting the latest U.S. reaction, and also just to see how far this diplomatic tit-for-tat can go. Kim.
So as we wait for that U.S. reaction, let's turn to the Chinese reaction. When I spoke to David Culver in Chengdu yesterday, he said the sentiment on the street out there wasn't hostile towards Americans, more curious, if anything, but there seems to be a growing anti-American sentiment out there, at least online. What have you seen?
Yeah, there has been anti-American sentiment expressed online, anti-American trolling, but it's interesting to note how that is in stark contrast to the official Chinese response. Despite a lot of domestic internal pressure by nationalists inside China for Beijing to really strike back hard and retaliate hard, especially after the closure of the Chinese consulate in Houston, China did not choose to respond by closing the more high-value or significant consulates in Shanghai or Hong Kong, but rather the one in Chengdu. And that has been seen by many as a sign of restraint on the Chinese side. Kim.
All right. Always appreciate your analysis. Kristie Lu Stout in Hong Kong.